Ministry to others. That's well, that couldn't have worked out better. And Fred and I talked about it beforehand, which we didn't really. So that's just God moving and working. But this is the last week in the reasons why we exist as a church. The reasons why we get up on Sunday morning and we come and we do all this stuff. Certainly, this is the last week that we're going to look at the fourth reason why we bother to do church at all, and that is ministry to others. I have to admit, when I spend the week doing sermon preparation, it's never ever been my practice to think of particular people. Like, that's just not one of those things I do. I know some guys do that. Some guys believe wholeheartedly in it, and they believe they have good reasons for that. Maybe even some would argue theological reasons, but not. I just don't do that. I don't know. It's pretty much between me and God all week. I'll admit I'm selfish. I keep God to myself during the week. I think about the church collectively, and I think about the message that God gives me during the week, but I don't think about individuals in the congregation as I prepare my messages. This week, I stand before you and tell you, I thought about all of you, each and every one of you individually. So afterwards, when the old joke goes, when you have pastor for lunch afterwards, you can go, as you're thinking about it, was pastor thinking about me today when he was preaching? Yes, I was. And you go, okay, I do a whole lot around here. Was pastor thinking about me today when he preached? Yes, I was. I don't really do all that much. I just kind of show up and I sit in the seat and I listen to what goes on Sunday and then I leave and go about my business. Was pastor thinking about me today when he was preaching? Yes, I was. So each and every one of you, all of you, this is for you today. So that being said, ministry to others, ministry to the church. That is something that our church definitely sets us apart, makes us distinct from many other churches around. That's a great thing. But the question is, what are each and every one of us doing individually as far as ministry goes? It's really easy to sit there and go, yeah, our church does a good job at that, and I'm glad they do. But you have to ask this morning, do I minister to others? Do I minister to others during the week? Do I minister to others when I'm at church? Do I minister to others? Is that a burden? Is that a passion? Is that something that's important to me? Is it something that I believe that Jesus Christ died for? And then, if I believe that, do I live that out actively with my life each and every day? Pastor Floyd ever said the ministry of the church is standing between heaven and earth and delivering the kingdom to hurting people. The ministry of the church is standing between heaven and earth and delivering the kingdom to hurting people. You ever thought about that? That's what church is supposed to be. That's what we're supposed to be doing as body believers. Really, ultimately. And he doesn't mention it as well, but really standing in between heaven and hell. We don't think in those terms, but for a lot, really the reality of the situation is not only between heaven and earth, between heaven and hell. He's talking about souls of people and where they spend all of eternity when they pass on. When it no longer matters what job they do. When it no longer matters what car they drive. When it no longer matters what their families do. We stand between heaven and hell. Not only heaven and earth, but heaven and hell. Ministry. As a church, ministry as a believer individually. It's vital. And yet, there are still people who ask the question, why does it even matter if I choose to minister at all in life? Look at Galatians 6 today. Galatians 6, we're actually going to ask, but so let's look at this real quick first. Again, I told you, I warned you 4 weeks ago, right, that you would be seeing this for a while. So here we go. Our mission, and you can see all 4 weeks, our mission is to praise God and preach the gospel with our mouths and lives in order to progress in Christian maturity and provide ministry to the community, that's our community and out there, Juliet, and the world around us. We see in Galatians chapter 6 today, we're going to actually take a look at the question. We're going to ask the question that many of us ask. We don't ask out loud. We don't ask out loud. That would be embarrassing. We want people to think that we don't care about church, we don't care about God, right? But, and we all go through this. Everybody asks this question one point or another, I believe. This question is, why does it matter? Why does it matter if we choose to minister to others? You especially see this in the larger churches where thousands of people, thousands upon thousands. And there are many people who sit in the churches on Sunday, and this happens in every church, by the way, big, small, whatever. There are always going to be people who show up and they go, well, I'm glad church is doing a good job. I'm glad it's here for me. but I don't really know if I'm here for it. And that's ultimately what for us, all the way to the pastor. Even pastors are susceptible to that mentality. What can I get out of what's going on there? Let's stop and take a look at why the church exists, why it's there, and realize that it's not there for me. Okay? We may, as a byproduct of our ministry, get things out of church. That may happen as a byproduct, but that's not the product of what God has called us to do. That's an afterthought. That's a blessing. That's what's known as a blessing. What happens after we've been faithful and done what God has called us to do. And that's impact the lives of others, minister to others, and ultimately be changed by God ourselves. Isn't it interesting that we take our eyes off ourselves? God does things for us anyway? When we're not looking for that? It's amazing. Why does it matter if we choose to minister to others? We see this in Galatians chapter 6. And Paul begins this small section toward the end of the Epistle of Galatians. He begins a small section where he's talking ultimately about doing good to others. And in verse 6, and different pastors, different commentators will take verse 6 of that last passage, and some will put it with 4 and 5 and everything that follows. Some will put it with 7 through 10 that comes after it, and some will actually make 6 its own verse. But the ESV, for those of you who have the ESV version of God's holy word, you'll see that he includes the people who translate, or people who did that version, put verse 6 to 7 through 10. I think there's a reason for that. Interestingly enough, when you look at verse 6, you read verse 6, it says, the one who is taught the word must share all good things with the one who teaches. You look at that verse, and you can preach this verse, you can take different applications from it, and some of the applications that have been made have actually been used to defend giving the pastor more money. So, believe it or not, it's out there, and there's lots of commentators out there, and some commentators believe that verse Paul's talking about money there. Okay, at that point we argued, I get it. But I think that we lose sight of the big picture. We lose sight of what he's talking about there in the whole passage, the whole chapter, and the whole epistle of Galatians. Because I don't think Paul is really hung up on money there. I think when you take that verse, and the reason why it's included with 7 through 10, is because it includes doing good to everyone, doing good beyond just giving money or whatever the case is, but actually ministering to, blessing one another. But it's really notable here that in this last section where he talks about doing good to others, talks about ministering to others, 6 through 10, he begins with this verse. I think there's a reason for that. This really hit home with me. Not me personally. My personality isn't such that I feel the need to be constantly live and praised online. If you appreciate me, great, that's fine. That's not really why I'm here. But thank you for that, by the way. But it's not what I do, But nonetheless, I know that there are a lot of people that we have that do things here at church, and I know that a lot of them have thankless things that they do. They serve, they lead, they minister maybe to the kids, they minister in the worship and music, they minister in the stuff that we do at the mission, and they lead. And many times they do so and they wonder if anybody really cares or if it really even matters. That was convicting me personally. Because I had to stop and say, how many times do I really show my appreciation to those that God has leading here in our church? Those that work with the kids, those that put the service together with the music and so forth, those that do the stuff at the mission on Wednesdays and the last Sunday night in month, those that do the stuff with the hospitality in the back, coffee and all that. Do I express